You don't change your life by waiting 10 years. You change your life by changing your intention in one moment. Transformation is not about time, it's about decision. Time is just the container, but decision is the substance. And the problem is, too many people are worshiping the container while ignoring the content. We keep saying, one day I'll do it, one day I'll change, one day I'll be great. But let me tell you something, some days not a day of the week. The truth is, your life can pivot in a single moment when you get clear, when you get focused, and when you get intentional. Now understand something. God created the universe in 6 days. On day one, he said, let there be light, and boom, light showed up. He didn't try, he spoke. He didn't hesitate, he declared. So what's the lesson here? When God wanted something different, he didn't wait for the atmosphere to shift. He shifted the atmosphere. And if you were made in his image, that means you've got that same creative power resting inside you right now. You don't need a new calendar, you need a new conviction. The enemy doesn't care how long you plan, how many books you read, or how many podcasts you listen to, as long as you never decide. Because the power is not in the planning, it's in the decision. When you make a decision backed by divine intention, you tap into a power that overrides your excuses, breaks your patterns, and resets your trajectory. That's why most people never become unrecognizable, because they keep making wishes, not decisions. But wishing doesn't move the heavens. Faith does. Intention is the currency of heaven. When your heart is aligned with purpose, when your words align with action, and when your thoughts are governed by vision instead of fear, you stop surviving and start commanding. Most people are living their lives on default. They get up when the alarm tells them to. They eat what the world tells them to. They spend money based on emotion, not assignment. But if you want to become unrecognizable in 1 week, you've got to break the rhythm of mediocrity and step into the intention of your future. Intention says, I am no longer available for conversations that don't grow me. Intention says, I refuse to give energy to things that don't match my vision. Intention says, my past has expired and my purpose is my priority. You see, intention is not passive, it's aggressive. Intention confronts procrastination. It attacks fear. It demands that you stop explaining your limitations and start expressing your authority. Look, God never called you to be a thermometer. A thermometer just reads the temperature. He called you to be a thermostat. You set the temperature. That means when you walk in a room, you bring clarity, energy, direction, and divine focus. But you can't set the temperature until you first set your intention. Most people are spiritually scattered because they are mentally vague. You can't live a focused life with a foggy mind. So how do you clear the fog? By choosing intention over impulse. Let me ask you something. What would happen if for 1 week, just 7 days, you operated with unshakable intention? What if every word you spoke was aligned with your purpose? What if every action you took was strategic? What if you woke up each day with a mission so clear that distractions felt like disrespect? That's when you become unrecognizable, not because you changed your environment, but because you changed your energy. And don't think intention is about hustle. It's not about grinding 24/7. That's worldly talk. No. Intention is about alignment. When you are aligned with who God made you to be, you won't have to chase. You'll attract. You'll walk into rooms and opportunities will recognize you before you even say a word. People will look at you and say, you're different. And that's when you know your intention has shifted your identity. See, intention requires discipline, and discipline ain't punishment. It's permission. It gives you the authority to say no to what's easy and yes to what's necessary. It gives you the strength to delay gratification, to push past comfort, to become the version of you that already exists in God's imagination. But you can't tap into that unless you start living intentionally. Every time you act with intention, you are training your mind to trust you. You're building inner credibility. You're telling your spirit, I keep my word. And that internal confidence, that's how you create momentum. That's how you stop being a victim of circumstances and start being a creator of destiny. Let's be real. Some of you don't need another prayer. You need a plan. You need to get up, write it down, speak it out loud, and execute. Stop saying you're waiting on God when God is waiting on you. He already gave you the vision. He already gave you the power. What he's waiting for is your intention. When your intention is real, it's followed by action, and action unlocks the favor that's been hovering over your life the whole time. Let me break it down. You don't accidentally become fit. You don't accidentally become wealthy. You don't accidentally write a book, build a business, or grow in faith. All those things require intentional living, and the reason so many people stay stuck is because they're living reactively. They're reacting to bills, people, emotions, pressure. But when you live by intention, you stop reacting and start responding from a place of wisdom, clarity, and purpose. Somebody out there is saying, but Myron, I don't know where to start. Start with what you already know. You don't need more information. You need implementation. You already know that waking up earlier would help you. You already know that scrolling for hours is killing your vision. You already know the conversations you need to cut off, the habits you need to break, and the systems you need to build. So stop playing dumb to what you already know. The devil isn't afraid of your knowledge. He's afraid of your execution. The Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. That means if your mind is divided, your life will be too. You can't live on purpose if you're living in pieces. Intention brings you into oneness with your goals, your God, and your gifts. When you operate from a place of oneness, you stop diluting your power and you start concentrating your impact. And the moment you do that, your life won't just change, it'll transform. The fastest path to becoming unrecognizable is to become unreasonable. That might sound bold, but let me tell you, God never called you to blend in. He called you to stand out. You weren't created to live at the level of comfort. You were created to live at the level of calling. But here's the issue. Most people are still trying to reach destiny with a reasonable mindset. They want radical results while maintaining rational routine. That's not how transformation works. You don't get to become extraordinary by staying predictable. Unreasonable people change the world because they refuse to accept the world as it is. They refuse to settle for what's been handed to them. They don't look at their circumstances and say, this is not the end of my story. If you want to become unrecognizable in just 1 week, you've got to be willing to disrupt your entire approach to life. You've got to be willing to offend your own comfort zone. Being unreasonable means refusing to accept the lies that have been passed down to you. Lies like people like you don't succeed, or you're too late, or you're not qualified. He qualifies the called, but he can't do much with someone who keeps negotiating with mediocrity. See, God responds to faith, not excuses. And faith doesn't need permission to move. Faith doesn't wait for conditions to be perfect. Faith acts now without evidence because the evidence is already finished in the spiritual realm. And here's what you need to understand. The version of you that you're trying to become already exists. It's already done. God already wrote the script. The question is not if it can happen. The question is, how long are you going to delay it? And most delays come from trying to be too reasonable. You want to move, but you keep trying to make it make sense. You want to grow, but you keep looking for external validation. Let me tell you something. If God gave you the vision, that's all the confirmation you need. When you become unreasonable, you stop asking for permission to change. You stop looking for support from people who are committed to staying the same. You stop explaining your decisions to people who never had the courage to take the journey. That's why some people will start falling off the moment you step into this next level of yourself, because your transformation becomes a mirror to their stagnation. They won't recognize you, not because you're pretending, but because you finally remembered who you really are. Unreasonable people live by vision, not by memory. They don't let yesterday dictate their tomorrow. They don't let current circumstances silence divine destiny. They don't shrink to fit into environments God is trying to grow them out of. And when you adopt that kind of unreasonable mindset, you become dangerous to the enemy, because now he can't manipulate you with fear, doubt, or delay. Here's what being unreasonable looks like in practice. You wake up and make decisions based on where you're going, not where you are. You speak life over yourself even when everything around you feels like death. You tithe when the bills are due. You invest in your mind when people say it's foolish. You rest in God's promises even when nothing seems to be working. And people will say, "You've changed." But no, you just stopped apologizing for becoming who you were created to be. It takes an unreasonable mindset to obey God when logic says otherwise. Think about Noah. God told him to build a massive ark with no rain in sight. That's unreasonable. Think about Abraham. God told him to leave his country, his family, his identity, and go to a land I will show you. That's unreasonable. Jesus told Peter to walk on water. That's unreasonable. But guess what? Miracles only live on the other side of unreasonable obedience. Most people don't miss out on transformation because they're lazy. They miss it because they're logical. They're so busy trying to make it make sense, they miss the move of God. But faith doesn't make sense, it makes miracles. And the moment you stop being ruled by logic and start being led by faith, you'll start doing things people said were impossible. You'll start becoming someone people don't even recognize, not because you're fake, but because you're finally free. Unreasonable people guard their time, protect their energy, and curate their environments. They're not available for drama, gossip, or distractions. Why? Because every moment spent in nonsense is a moment stolen from purpose. You can't afford to play small when your destiny is this big, and becoming unrecognizable requires discipline. Not just doing what's hard, it's about doing what's necessary, whether it's convenient or not. Being unreasonable also means getting radically honest with yourself. You've got to identify the patterns, habits, and beliefs that have been holding you hostage. You've got to say, "This ends with me." You've got to stop entertaining your limitations and start engaging your authority. God has already placed the answer inside you, but He's waiting for your activation. And activation doesn't happen when you feel ready. It happens when you decide to be ready. Let me make it plain. If you want to become unrecognizable in 7 days, start living like the person you're praying to become. Start speaking like them. Start walking like them. Start scheduling your day like them. Start making financial decisions like them. Don't wait for the transformation to happen. Become the transformation. You've got to live from the inside out, not the outside in. You want to change your life? Change the standard. Get unreasonable with how you think, how you move, and what you tolerate. Refuse to accept average. Reject lukewarm effort. Deny the familiar. You can't become unrecognizable if you're still committed to recognition from the people who only know the old you. God is trying to take you to a place where no one from your past can vouch for your future, but you'll never get there if you keep playing reasonable. Reasonable people wait, unreasonable people work. Reasonable people want proof, unreasonable people produce. Reasonable people live for comfort, unreasonable people live for calling. And if you want to change your life in 1 week, you've got to choose which group you belong to. You've got to stop asking, is it possible? And start asking, who do I need to become? The moment you stop trying to blend in and start moving in bold, unreasonable faith is the moment you activate the anointing that makes you unstoppable. Not because you have all the answers, but because you finally trusted the one who does. That's when you'll look in the mirror and say, I don't even recognize myself. And that's exactly the point